What's going on, friends? Sam Prentice back once again. We're in Goshen, Indiana, in the United States at the Midwest RepRap Festival. We're in our 13th year here, and we're at day one. We're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and that can only mean one thing. Let's get straight on into this one.
You are watching a master at work.
Welcome to the Midwest RepRap Festival 2025. Woo! So we're now at MRRF. We popped in last night just to drop some stuff off. No one else is really here. Caleb, anything to add?
2 + 2 = 4. Did I add enough?
That's enough. That's enough.
Okay.
So we're going to get into professional mode. So let's change this up.
Maybe I do that where like one of the size, well, it's like size based. Right?
Friends, this is MRRF. This is where it all started. We've got 40 racers here. The first race we ever did was about 6. So, friends, are you ready? Come on now, friends, are you ready? That's more like it. 3, 2, 1, go! This channel is sponsored by Polymaker and PCBWay, the best choice in filament and PCB manufacturing. Explore PCBWay's 3D printing portal. Easily upload your STL file and choose from a spectrum of exotic filaments for that special project. From PCBs to 3D prints, trust PCBWay.com for your unmatched quality and innovation. Visit them today at PCBWay.com. What's going on, friends? We're at MRRF. This is the first interview with Joey from E3D. Now, you're into drawers.
Yes.
You're into drawers in quite a big way. But it's not just drawers, it's a storage system, 3D printed. And last night at dinner, I was told that I needed to join a Discord and I needed to seek you out. First thing to do today was to do this and to speak to you a little bit about this modular system because it's blowing my mind. You've obviously got some amazing things here. So if you can, just start at the beginning and just sort of tell us a little bit more about the system.
So it started with just really a simple drawer. Back in 2019, when I started the project, I was just looking for like, okay, I need to, at my 3D printer, have stuff somewhere to put stuff. And so I made a really simple drawer that's screwed under the table. And I ran into this problem after about a year or so where I wanted to make variations of it. And I'm like, can I make it easier to remove? And I thought of this idea of just coming up with a system where you print these rails that you mount under a surface and the drawer case slides right into that.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so it'll slide right in and lock right in place.
Amazing. So this is really interesting because you had a problem that you needed to solve, you've solved that problem, and now you've kind of made this into a business?
Well, I'm just trying to grow the club as much as I can.
Gotcha.
The club has been supporting the growth of this project,
yep.
And it's been just speeding up more and more and more. I've been able to put more time into it than I've ever been able to. And just this year alone, I can't believe how many like revisions and improvements I've been able to make on this project and making it larger and larger.
That's pretty cool. So what's next for you? What do you think is happening? What do you think is going to happen in this market next? Are you working on something that's even bigger, or what's the aim ultimately?
Oh, I think I'm getting through all these core designs right now, and then I've dabbled a little bit in it, but people have seen like special drawers, such as like ones for your like parts organization.
Oh, wow. I'm really glad that didn't just spill out on the floor. Then I was like, oh my god.
It looks cautious. And then like this is like tool organization.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. So we're using Prusament here, I've noticed. We've also got a core one here, the new 3D printed by
by Cruiser, of course, and you've got a draw system on the front of that. We'll certainly take a look at that in a few minutes. We'll open it and shut it and show you around that a little bit more. So you're using Cruisers generally?
Generally, I try to get what's most common to people. I started with Cruises because they were the most popular, I would say, back in the late, 2019 when I started. But now I also have some bamboos, and I might get some Vorons and stuff here soon. It allows you to print a little faster, prototype faster, but then also see any variations. I try to build a lot to compensate for just different materials, different printers into these models.
So obviously there's an online community here. I was forced into joining a Discord last night, and I'm glad I did, because I think this is an awesome solution, probably even for me as well. So I'm going to be definitely printing some of this stuff as well. But where can people find you?
Actually, I got GirardiThreedy.com, and that will direct you to, I think I am on 4 different websites for files. I'm constantly trying to add all of them, but yeah, it's more like a catalog for that.
Cool.
I do have a YouTube channel for Girardi3D. Yeah, all over.
So finally then, who is this really for?
So it started mostly for like 3D printers, but obviously like 3D printing is becoming a lot easier and easier and less of a, for hobbyists, but companies now have them. I want companies to just feel free to use these.
Yeah.
I've worked in manufacturing for years, and like systems where it's like 5S, lean, all that stuff, where it's like you need to have a home for every part. I've been focusing more on that with my latest drawers, which are the Decor series, that have these face plates that you can swap out, but then you can also swap out the labels.
Nice.
So that's it's been useful for me, and you can 3D print all of that. You don't have to use paper labels or any of that. So
it's incredible. I mean, material choice here is PETG, of course.
PETG, I like the structure of it, but I'm going to experiment with like high temp PLA. A lot of people actually use PLA. I just worry, like here in a warmer environment, what that could do.
I mean, of course, Polymaker have just got and launched a new whole load of ranges of HTPLA now. So
yes.
I want to check that out. We'll put a link in the description for that, just in case you do. But we'll hook you up with some if you haven't already got some.
Yes, I'd love to experiment with it.
Yeah, man, we'll hook you up for that. But,
okay.
As I say, the people that I speak to, generally either they're PETG fans or they're not.
Yes.
And you can tell there's a real difference. I could tell immediately that it was PETG.
Yes.
And if you know, I guess. You can see that shimmer, you can see the shine. But this is Prusa that you've been using here, of course.
No, actually, I've been using... So I'll try to get more of the cheaper general stuff to do the massive stuff.
Sure.
But I also kind of like work with it because it warps more and it does stuff. And I know people aren't going to run into that with a lot of other filaments. So my mindset is like I prototype it and then try to work out all the struggles so then it's easy for people to print.
So let me ask you this question then. This unit down the bottom here, how much would that cost me to make, roughly?
Oh, I'm planning on doing like a study of that. But I would say, like if you went to the store and you bought something like this, I would say you're probably going to spend something like $50 or more on that. I don't think you're going to spend much more of that. If not, even cheaper making it yourself. Obviously you have time. It takes time to print these. But my mindset is if you go to the store and buy a unit that has 25 drawers and you only need 5, and then when you get to those 25, you need a 26, you have to go buy another whole unit.
And what's worse than that, sometimes they reiterate things and it might be slightly different.
Right.
So I've got some racking, similar kind of thing, and they changed the design ever so slightly.
Yes.
But it doesn't fit.
Exactly.
So having this kind of stuff is brilliant, especially if you're an enthusiast inside of this market. And I'm going to test this. I want to print this sort of stuff, so I'm going to make some of these.
Awesome.
We'll have it on the channel. We'll make a whole video about it. So why don't you tell me something about a problem that you've had and how you've overcome it? Right.
So something that's really common, especially when people go from printing a lot of smaller prints to printing larger prints like this, is warping. And PETG, why I like working with that is I get to experience some of that, especially with cheaper materials and stuff.
Sure.
So like for instance, this drawer I designed recently to fit like the Crucifer one and a lot of the bamboos. It uses most of the bed, but when you start getting closer to the edge of the bed, the edges might start peeling up. Sure. So in this circumstance, I actually heard on a Hackaday podcast, like a certain solution of like breaking up your model. And I'm like, how can I do that with this? And I figured out a way where I added little slits into here. So it's printing the whole base solid, but then it's separating it into different segments.
Right.
And by doing that, like right away, I had way less warping. So
Really?
that's something I'm going through and I'm updating all the drawers to do. So it's a process because there's a couple hundred now.
So hang on, so you're finding that it's warping. At what point is it warping then?
So
Or was it warping?
So it wasn't warping when it was on the base.
Yep.
But when it started getting up above that, you know, it's trying to go this whole route. The higher you go, the more tension it puts on it, and it would actually start pulling those corners up.
Right.
So by doing this and splitting that up, it gets past this point, and then it's now printing this section, that section, and that section.
Wow.
And then it's kind of the same thing there. And it really doesn't affect, I mean, this is still really strong.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Show me the clips that you've got here as well. Do these ones pop out?
Yeah, so these are compliant mechanisms. And these
That's so cool.
I call them quick locks. They're like the little logo there. But I came up with these in 2022.
Yep.
And what those did, they replaced this terrible system I had. You can still use it if you really want. But you had to slide something up the back rail here and screw it in.
Gotcha.
And this system, you literally just slide it in there and then you can quickly release it within seconds and rearrange it. So
That's so cool.
it's just all snaps together really quickly, really efficiently. So
Joey, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Absolutely.
Gerari3D.com is the place to be. It's also on printables. Anywhere else? Where else can we find this?
things, Makerworld, Pulse 3D.
It's on all the sites you would have expected. We're going to make one of these on the channel as well, so make sure you're logged in, keep subscribed, and thank you so much for talking to me today.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
What's going on, friends? Sam Prentice back once again. Second interview of the day with Dave and Terry from 3D. The floor is soaking wet, so just watch your step right here. My word. You all right there?
Yeah.
Good. Just turn that fan down. That's what we need in this high humidity area. Goshen, Indiana. It's hot as hell here, but at least you're here. Tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
All right, so we are 3D printing. We actually do representation for Wexter himself at different RepRap festivals here across the United States. We normally do Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival, the Midwest RepRap Festival, and our home turf, 3D Printopia, Bel Air, Maryland. That's not now. We're here at this one. We're at this one. But yeah, we promote Wexter's models available on printables.
Yep.
And Patreon starts now as low as $10. You can get yourself any one of these beautiful minis from Wexter. But if you're interested, we have them for sale as well. So, sorry.
Well, let me tell you something right now. I didn't know that you were working with Wexter, but let me say this to you. Earthworm Jim.
I love it. I didn't have time to print it. There was the Earthworm Jim. He just got these new Fantastic Four.
Yep.
The Earthworm Jim. The Corpse Batman or Zombie Batman that just came out as well. We just didn't have enough time to shuttle fan issue.
I was that close to reaching out to him to say, how about I do a full-size version of that? And I might still do that. And, you know, Wexter, obviously, fantastic designer, incredible person inside of this community as well.
Great man.
So what do you do then? Give me an idea of how that works.
So what we did is a long time ago, we started working on we were trying to figure out what we're going to do. I said, I love printing Wexter models. So I reached out to Wexter a little while ago and I said, hey, Wex, I said, I love your stuff. Get on the Discord. He's also got a Discord available as well. So you're going to go ahead and I said, I want to go ahead and promote some of your models at our show at 3D Printopia. He said, sure, go ahead, fire away. So I went ahead and printed quite a few. There's a few mixed that are Wexters. Sorry, Wex. Then the back stuff that's stuck in here. But yeah, these are some beautiful, beautiful prints. 99% of these are Wexters. I just noticed that. But yeah, these are beautiful prints. He loves to make models that his daughter has kind of come up with and in mind. So there's some really interesting things, as well as some other busts. The minis are his big thing. There's some model creators, there's some content creators and everybody that have been immortalized in his minis, available on printables now.
Still waiting, Wex. I know we got so far with it, and then he was just like, you're just not that unique. And I was like, so they had like an eyebrow thing, and that's as far as it went. And, you know, come on, dude, what's going on? But Terry, what about you? What do you do?
So I am part of the company. I do sublimation, so a lot of tumblers, a lot of t-shirts, custom design. So if you have a design that you need to be custom made, reach out to me on Discord, reach out to me by email. We also have our Discord is on our channel, and just reach out to me and we'll see what we can do.
Awesome. So it is a business.
Yeah.
It is a upcoming business thriving, but we're working there. We're getting there.
Gotcha. So what's your favorite 3D printer?
The one that works. That's the best way to put it. So
I like that.
Everybody has their own.
What about you?
My favorite is the A1 because I don't have to tinker with it. So the A1 Mini or the A1 regular printer. I'm more of a bamboo person because I don't like the tinker, but people that like the tinker might not be with that bamboo.
Yeah.
But I choose bamboo because I believe it prints the best.
Because you're a big Voron guy.
I'm a Voron man. I love Vorons. They're the easiest thing to build off the planet.
If you know any of the background here, there's a stream called the Jerry Stream, which is on a Saturday afternoon in the US, evening on the UK time. And of course, you guys are on that as well. And you get picked apart. You do get picked apart about this Voron. Did it actually finish? Is this it here?
Okay, so hold on.
Tell me what it is.
Hold on, let me explain this because everybody's gonna rag us. This is an SV0.
Oh, okay, right.
This is not a Voron.
Right.
This is not the physical Voron. We had an issue with a rental facility, we'll leave that out, but we ended up with an SUV rather than a cargo van. So we were unable to bring Twerple with us. Twerple is our 2.4 Voron 350. She is done. Don't listen to Terry. But yeah, she's done.
You printed a cube.
She's done. She printed a Voron cube. She's done. It doesn't matter. She printed a Voron cube and a bed sheet. She works. She's still being modified. She would have been right here if we had the cargo van.
Right.
Unfortunately, we ended up with the SUV, and we needed that blower and some fans and all this. It wouldn't all fit.
Thank God for that blower. I'm just
It
getting
is.
it all on my back at the minute, which is nice. But
Lovely.
where can we find you guys?
So we are on multiple different social media sites. Our big thing is YouTube. We promote ourselves, or we do all of our stuff on YouTube. It's 11. She's going to Twitch. Terry's going to Twitch.
Okay.
I also do Twitch and YouTube, but mainly YouTube. We are going to be available on this 3D printing on YouTube. It's also 3D printing with a space between the and T on Facebook. But most of our information is all available on YouTube in the bio section.
That's amazing. You've got quite a flow. You've done this before, clearly.
I'm a manager of a hotel. I have to talk to people on a regular basis. I have to get in front of a camera or I have to get in front of 150 whatever people and say yes, no, maybe so. So yeah.
That's
Love
awesome.
that.
That's awesome. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for showing me around your booth. And, we'll see you at the next one.
All right.
Take care, guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
I appreciate you.
Interview number 3 with John here. John, how you doing? Good. Good to see you. Thank you for the lift last night to Chili's. It was good meeting you last night, of course, but I had already noticed you've got an E3D ToolChanger. Yep. It's crazy moist here in Goshen, Indiana. Yep. We've had some issues printing with this.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about this printer.
Well, it came out about 5-6 years ago, I think. I met Sanjay here and was amazed by the machine.
Yep.
This is a really early Core XY design that was commercially available. It was the first Core XY, I believe, that have the C-shaped opening in the front, which they called it a reference design, an R&D project, which was right up my alley. And I think Prusa used it as the design reference for their Excel.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of the similarities. Uses a 4-tool changer with a cam-operated link to capture the tools.
Yep.
Has a magnetic docking system to hold those things in place. And never been perfectly reliable, to be honest with you. Sort of thrown a lot of money into trying to improve it. And the best I can get is about 99.5% operation for the tool change.
Yeah.
So it's about 1 every 400 tool changes, you'll get a failure.
Gotcha.
And well, if you think about it, that's 4 changes per layer. That's out of 400, that's 100 layers. That's only about 20 millimeters in height. So
That's a shame.
yeah, that's the best I can get.
What I admire about you is this is actually the third one I've seen. I've seen one at E3D.
Right.
I've seen one at Prusa.
Right.
And obviously one here as well. So what keeps you going with this machine?
Just the interest of it, the concept of having a tool changer, being able to print dissimilar materials, so like a PLA print with a PETG support material, or vice versa, which is being my bigger application, PETG as a structural material with PLA as the support, and you get beautiful, when it's working, you get terrific undersides for complex shapes.
Because this is a machine that's not sold anymore.
No,
This was pulled
they
back
stopped
maybe
selling
a year
it something
ago.
like 2 years ago. But again, I mean, it's got the Duet electronics, RepRap firmware.
That's your big thing. Open source for you is
Yes.
really important. We were
Yes.
talking last night about that, and this is really what you're all about. Isn't
Yes.
it? This
Yeah.
is your. So tell me a little bit about your booth here.
Sure. Well, both for hardware and software, I'm pushing for OpenSCAD or OpenSCAD. I don't even know how it's pronounced. It's a programming language for defining 3D shapes.
Yep.
It's the most commonly used CAD program that nobody knows about.
Right.
NASA uses it because it's stable, and they have to think on more like a 40-year timeline.
Sure.
And if you've got a 3D design that you want to have available over many, many years, something like this, which is controllable. It's the files themselves are merely text files.
Sure.
So it can be edited with a text editor and shared that way. If you go on Thingiverse or Printables and look for parametric or customizable things, most of them were written in OpenSCAD.
Really?
And yes, and you can download those files, the .scad files, and open them in Notepad++ and look at it. If the person who wrote the code was kind, they would have put all comment lines in, and you can figure out what the heck they're doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and for me, at these shows, I really push, especially for high school teachers, to get kids involved in OpenSCAD rather than sitting them down at a desk and running Tinkercad or Fusion 360, where they're learning user interface for a commercial product that they'll have to pay for the rest of their lives.
Gotcha.
As opposed to OpenSCAD, which is free and open source, or FreeCAD, which is the new kid on the block for open source, even though it's been in development for 22 years.
Right.
But this past year, they went from alpha and beta finally to a release. So they're on release 1.
Gotcha.
And it's actually, they've made a lot of improvements. It's stable, it works. It's a sketch-based CAD program. So you design things on a XY plane and then extrude them, Boolean them, cut them, put another sketch on a face, to make things more complex.
John, what I really love about you is you're really passionate about this.
Yeah.
Where does that passion come from?
Really, it started with the RepRap movement, being able to have 3D printers that you own, you can design. You're taking these vitamins and putting them together any way you want. My first 3D printer was a MakerBot Thingomatic.
Right. Yeah.
And I used that to design and build. When I went to Maker Faire a long time ago, somebody had one of the original raw stock Delta printers.
Right. Yeah.
And I looked at that one. I want one of those.
Yeah.
And so I designed my own version of that and posted it up on Thingiverse as a derivative design from Johann Rochal's original raw stock. It was called the wood stock. Yeah. Had more wood in it because it's easy to get stuff laser cut.
Yeah.
And ran that for years and used that to make a lot of the parts that are in this thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you told me a story about Sanjay, one of the first person you went to.
I was here. This is before this ToolChanger was even out. And I had my little woodstock printer there, and he was walking around. He spent an hour talking to me in detail about the technical details. I had some questions at the time. It was the Mark 6 extruder, and I had made it so it would fit onto the effector of a Delta printer, which he had never seen before, which he was excited about. And it was just, you could tell the passion that he had for the 3D printing. So that it just really was infectious. So the next year when I came back and he had this thing, it's like, sign me up.
Gonna have one.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, John. Where we are here with this versus the new closed source stuff, Bamboo Lab, to a degree, Reality, etc. Where do you sit with that?
Well, I mean, I'm a tinkerer. I like building stuff, so those don't do much for me. But I can understand if you want to be able to successfully print multicolor stuff, buy a Bamboo, buy a Prusa XL. I mean, those are the way to go. They work. I've seen prints from the Bamboo that, I couldn't print on my machines. No way. So yes, there are advantages to the closed source. They've got their environment that you ride in. It doesn't do much for me, But I can understand, like, if you just want to print stuff and not worry about what's going on under the hood, I'd say, yeah, get a Prusa, get a Bamboo. I feel sorry for people who spend a lot of money for a Bamboo and then they have technical issues, which they're eventually going to have.
Yeah.
Then what do they do?
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's no way to go back on that.
No.
John, if someone wants to reach out to you, maybe they've seen this video, they want to find you somewhere to find out a little bit more about what you're doing, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm not that much out there. Inbindo11@gmail.com, I guess. I'm not big on this social media stuff.
Otherwise, you'll be here next year, right?
I will be here next year.
Of course you will.
This is my favorite show, bar none. You walk up, you come in, you grab a table.
Yeah.
And like, do you register? No. Do you pay anything? No. You know, it's like, this is amazing.
Just
you know?
about getting it done.
This is the embodiment of the RepRap movement right here.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know of any other place like that.
But I love definitely that you're keeping this alive. And listen, dude, it's been so good to talk to you. Thank you, John. Thanks very much. Okay.
So I was printing these FreeCAD MakerCoin things.
Yep.
And they were printing fine yesterday. And then they've got the swamp coolers going in here. And I don't know if you've seen the picture.
Crazy
It's
wet. So wet.
And my filament sat behind the printer all night and got soaked. So if you look, it's just spaghetti in
Oh
there.
my God.
Now, part of it might be because in order to get the really good color separation on the print, I'm running kind of lower temperatures than maybe you would. So I'm running like 200, 205 for the print. And so I think that added to the fact that this is just boiling off the plate. So I had to stop printing. But oh well, you know, it'll dry out. I'll get new filament.
You know, with regards to this machine, you know, it's actually interesting to see it. You know, it's not, you know, maybe a museum piece to a degree, but actually seeing it working, I know it's not running right now, but actually seeing it running and changing and doing everything, the original OG version of this is actually pretty damn awesome.
And I'll tell you what, did you interview Bondtech with their
Not
index?
yet.
Oh my God, I want to put 6, 3 and 3 of those things in here, and because then see with four colors you can't do process color. So if I had 5 colors plus a dissimilar material, that would be, you know, I'd have black, white, cyan, magenta, yellow. That's process color.
Sure.
So I could do full color prints and then have the dissimilar PETG or whatever for doing the supports. That'd be my dream.
Well, you know what? We're going to come back next year. We're going to interview you again. We're going to find out exactly where you've got to with this machine, and you know, keep the dream alive, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Right.
So at this event, of course, you never exactly know what you're going to see next. And well, over here, I'm seeing a 3D printed sewing machine. I wonder who makes that.
Hi, I'm Steve.
Steve, really good to see you. I saw that you were busying yourself with some work here, and I'd like to find out a little bit more about this machine and what you're doing here.
Sure. So, I like sewing, but I like sewing big things. So what I found was I was causing way too much damage to my wife's sewing machine with my projects. So I went and found actually an old school leather sewing machine.
Yeah.
Which it turns out I can't break, so that's a plus. But I also couldn't use it because trying to crank the crank and hold the thing, I wasn't able to use it. So I decided to take some parts from an old 3D printer that I had.
Yeah.
And so set it up so that it's powered, but it has enough smarts to know when the needle is at the top, when is at the bottom of the stroke, so that it can stop at the right spot when the seam is finished, or when it's ready to rotate and make a turn smoother.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so you can see that the way that I did that was by 3D printing the materials to attach the motor and add some cams there that trip the limit switches, just like you'd use in a printer.
Yeah.
But I've applied them here to a simpler case, but it really makes the thing much easier to use.
Personal question, your wife must be so jealous of this.
She tells me that I'm the only person who will ever use it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, in fairness, I decided to put giant tooth gears on it because I felt like it kind of fit the aesthetic of the whole thing.
That's what lured me in.
But do I want my small children playing with this? Maybe not.
No, absolutely. So this is for your private workshop.
It is.
Okay. So what are you using it for?
Okay, so what I'm using it for today is sewing heavy industrial Velcro onto a bag.
Right.
Which it's double stick, and I thought that might work. No, too much weight. So I'm sewing it into place, which a normal sewing machine can't do. But this one has no trouble with it because, in fact, it can also sew a vinyl strip to a piece of plywood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Have you ever thought of maybe working for NASA on some of their space suits? Because sewing machines are typically used for that, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And in fact, what they've got to do that work is the serious industrial version that I can't afford of this.
I mean, it's kind of blown my mind a little bit. So this is your unique design.
So this, like the add-on kit to electrify it is my design.
Sure.
Anybody can have one of these.
Yeah. Okay. So is this available? If someone wanted to do this, could they do that, or is it this is your baby?
So
You know, all right, keep the wife over there. You know, the sewing machine is over here.
the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't sell this because, as you say, like it's cool, but is it safe?
No.
Not really. No. However, I fully plan to share my software, and my design. Only thing is, I finished this just in time to come to this show,
Gotcha.
so I'm not really prepared for that today.
Gotcha. So where, if someone wanted to find you in the future, let's say, you know, next year or whatever, where do you reckon this would be?
This, I would say that the way you would find this would be to Google CLSP mods, because this sewing machine it's a Chinese leather shoe catcher, or a CLSP, and it turns out that's a whole subculture of people modding these things out. I'm just one of them.
Really?
Yes.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
So this by itself, you get it on Amazon and it's like $120.
Oh, okay.
You can get one for $80, but don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You'll open the box, it'll be full of metal shavings, and you'll spend a week filing down parts before it works.
Gotcha.
And the rest of it, I mean, I printed everything myself, so is that even $5? It's not even $5 worth of resin. Stepper motors, $15. This is, I would say I have $120 in the machine and $50 in the electronics.
Dude, thank you so much for showing us your sewing machine. I am absolutely in awe of this. I don't think I'd be actually any good at doing this kind of stuff, but I love to see older industrial style things with a modern edge. So thank you so much for showing me. I appreciate it. Love your energy as well. Thank you. Interview number 5 with the one and only Andrew Rogers. How are you, sir?
Doing well, my son.
Amazing. Now then, there's a couple of things I want to go through with you here. We've got a tiny bike here, which of course is something that we brought out last year.
Yeah.
You saw it at MRRF last year. Now you've built one. Now, I know you're not happy. You're not happy.
I'm incredibly disappointed.
Okay. Well,
I screwed something up. It was me.
it was you.
It was me. Printing these things out of PLA, probably not a good point.
But the thing is, all of them have been printed out PLA so far. So again, finding out some of these problems and getting to the end of it. Now, this was a project, as you know, that we started, we paused, and that's right before there was a bit of materials and really any kind of decent instructions on how to build these things. And the reason for that, of course, was because we needed to jump back into the dev races, and there's only so many hours in the day that you can really kind of give to a project. Now, of course, what I wanted to do by now is have the RC versions of the race cars, the 60-mile-an-hour go-karts and things like that, and for this to be a stepping stone into that. And the reason that we built the way that we built is because we wanted to make strength for those go-karts. Now, you've had a few issues with this. I know you weren't very happy about the bill of materials not being available, but here's the great thing, you still got it over the line.
I got it over the line, and based on my experiences with it, I've put together a real basic bill of materials that hopefully after everybody's looked at it and gone through it, it'll be made available, hopefully. And it's a good learning experience.
It is.
Because all this, the electronics, all this is new to me.
Yep.
I'm a photographer, I'm not an electrician, I'm not an electronics guy.
Well, but that's the thing, isn't it? It's about, this whole project is called Print My Ride, and the idea, the premise behind it is, how do I take a human from here to here using 3D printing? That's always been the reasoning behind what we do, and it's always been a STEM project. So I'm really glad that you got it across the line, and I know your daughter's been whizzing around on this relentlessly up until this point where you've had this problem. So what do you think the issue is here? Because I've not seen that particular problem.
I'm still not sure what caused the problem.
Okay.
It may have been rubbing inside, it might have come loose from the drive shaft. We might have gotten a piece of gravel or something stuck in here.
Sure.
We just don't know.
Well, we'll certainly get a close-up of that part. We'll look at some of the rubbing on the internals there, and we'll work out exactly why that's
I
gone
think the
wrong.
rubbing is when this came
I mean, it
loose.
certainly looks like it.
I was peeling bits of PLA that had melted off of this, off of off the wheel itself.
Gotcha.
So I think that's where all that came from, was directly from this just melting down.
Gotcha. Well, look, Andrew, it's not just tiny bikes that you do. You do a plethora of other things as well. So let's jump over there and have a look. So Andrew, there's plenty of other things on the table here. I'm noticing cameras, there's chess sets. What's this about? Tell me a little bit more about this.
So what got me on my printing journey to begin with was my photography love.
Yep.
I do a lot of analog photography, large format, medium format, whatever. And I decided I wanted to get a 3D printer to make parts for my old cameras. They don't make parts for those anymore. And to make darkroom tools and things like that.
Sure.
And it sort of snowballed. And I discovered you could make cameras with 3D printers.
Yep.
And then I got the COVID period. I ended up designing chess sets. And then I had friends that do gaming.
Oh, so this is your design. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right, got
So, and I don't play. I suck at chess.
Right.
But I love designing the sets, so it sort of became a thing. So I sort of just kind of been everywhere with it.
Wow, so
But the cameras are my first love of this.
Gotcha. So are these published files?
So some of the dice cases I have up on printables.
Right.
I haven't shared the files with any of my chess sets yet.
Right. So what about the cameras? Is that something that's available?
So they will be.
They will be.
These are still in the prototype stage. As soon as they're finished out of prototype, then those are going to go up on printables.
So what's the printable page? What's the name of it?
I think it's AC Rogers.
AC Rogers, okay.
On printables. My link tree is available through the socials and whatnot. It's got all of that.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's really cool.
And then this will be up there too. The other cameras on the table are not my design. So Thingiverse, Dora Goodman are places to go for those.
Amazing, dude. Amazing. Well, listen, Andrew, thank you once again. I'm sorry about the frustrations that you've had. It's always good to see you, sir.
Very much so.
Listen, keep doing what you're doing, and we will see you next time.
All right, appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you.
Well then, friends, that's the end of day one at the Midwest RepRap Festival. Stay tuned for part two. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
You are watching a master at work.